Good morning to all the participants from Free From Food Asia Virtual Summit. Welcome to the next webinar session on tapping into the health food segment in China. My name is Liam from the EU SME Centre in China. We are very delighted to be invited to give a very brief 15 minutes introduction session on such topic about the EU SME Centre in China. We are a European-funded project focusing on providing SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, on market access to China. Together with our implementing partners, we develop a range of services to increase SMEs' knowledge and raise their awareness on export actions to China. Our services includes a knowledge center where we have published nearly 200 comprehensive market reports, and an advice center where our in-house experts provide a first-line advice on a free of charge basis to companies. We also develop face-to-face as well as online trainings on a range of topics. As well, we have an advocacy platform where we're constantly working on improving the business environment for European SMEs in China. A quick look at our resources in the food and beverage sector. We have published a very good number of publications covering the wine market, exports of dairy products, spirits, beers, export of snacks to China, as well as fruits, meat, and salmon. On today's topic, I would like to start with an overview of China's health food market. Alongside the developments in China's economy and society, the needs of consumers has changed over the past years. The fulfillment of basic food security needs has been largely met in China, therefore is no longer considered as a top priority. And there is now a shift among Chinese consumers towards the consumption of healthier food. So the awareness of health and nutrition is now also considered by the Chinese government as a state priority. Thus, it is expected that the health food market in China will continue to develop and grow. It's a market with great potentials. As China's upper and middle class continue to grow, the awareness of healthy living continues to increase as well. So spending on health food in China is expected to reach, for example, as expected 5 years ago, 70 billion US dollars in 2020, which was exceeding the expectation even. This growth is mainly driven by financially independent urban citizens that has developed a good taste for all natural products or who are willing to pay a relatively higher money for health foods. Another social factor contributing to the growing consumption of health food is that the rise in demand for imported food and beverages in general, attributed in part to environmental pollution, as we all are aware of in China, and ensuring decrease in consumer confidence in domestically produced products. Imported food and beverages are now more likely to include health foods than those from China. One last factor here for the great market potentials is that the younger generations in China, namely those who are in their 30s, 40s, or 20s, are increasingly aware of the importance of health. For example, fitness centers are now getting more and more popular throughout the country. Young people are more health conscious than before, and they eat very healthily, and they often exercise. So this phenomenon creates excellent opportunities as well for health food producers in Europe. So, and to summarize the characteristics of Chinese consumers in those four main characteristics, the Chinese consumers are confident about the future. They tend to embrace new trends for the market. The Chinese consumers are now more and more concerned about the quality of their lives, and of course, as well for of their family members. Moving on to the classification of health foods in China, as well as the requirements. In China, a foreign manufacturer may be uncertain whether to register their products either as a health food or just simply as food products. The definition, however, has been given by the State Administration for Markets Regulation (SAMR), and therefore, according to SAMR's definition, if a product serves the purpose of boosting human health, and if the manufacturer wishes to emphasize the product's health benefits, the product should be then registered as a health food product in China rather than a regular food and beverage product. So, for product registration, according to the food safety law of China, imported health food in China can generally be classified into four main groups: health foods using materials outside the health food raw materials catalogs published by SAMR, health food being imported to China for the first time, excluding vitamin and mineral supplements. Vitamin and mineral supplements being imported to China for the first time are considered as the third category. And the last being other imported health foods that does not belong to the first three groups. And in terms of the registration requirements, for information about the registration requirements for health food in China, companies should refer to the administrative measures for registration and filing of health food published by the China Food and Drug Administration, the CFDA, in February in 2016. And according to the administrative measures for registration and filing of health food, all health foods imported to China for the first time should be registered with the SAMR, with SAMR, as I just have introduced. Although health supplements that only aim to provide vitamins and minerals are considered as exceptions. And according to the administrative measures for registration and filing of health food, to register health food products, the overseas manufacturer producer must apply through its company registered in mainland China or through an agency. And below are some of the mandatory registration process. So first of all, the company needs to fill in the registration application form and as well as a legal declaration. So to provide also the applicant's business license. And then the company needs to provide products R&D reports, including developers, as well as a list of ingredients and processing techniques, for example, quality standards, and the reason why raw materials are being used, for example, processing techniques and materials as well. Includes possibly then a simple production flow chart, instructions, so key technical points, as well as some illustrations. And then the company needs to provide documents for evaluating the product safety. So product safety evaluation needs to be done. And lastly, the label instructs and samples of the products to be registered. The requirements for the moment is that 3 samples of packaging in its smallest size needs to be provided. Here, I would like to mention that based on our research and our past experience, the filing process can take around 6 to 8 months, and the cost might range from Chinese yuan 100,000 to Chinese yuan 120,000, which is around 13 to 15,000 euro. That of course depends on number of ingredients. Documents required for filing process are similar to the documents needed for registration. So qualified producers um, will need to take that into consideration. And the qualified health food products, after all, will be given the filing numbers and marking the completion of the filing process. Last but not the least, since we have very limited time, I would like to already move on to the last section on our expectation on the future trends for the health food segment in China. We have listed here 5 points for your consideration. First of all, being sales through cross-border e-commerce. The registration and filing process, as I've just introduced for imported health foods, can be very time consuming and can be also very costly. However, products that are sold through cross border e commerce channels do not need to be registered with the SAMR, as transactions through CBEC, cross border e commerce channels, are seen by the Chinese government as being between individuals. Therefore, there's no tariffs imposed. However, cross-border e-commerce channels should not be viewed as a permanent solution or for health foods producers to look into, because the policies regarding CBEC channels change very fast and change regularly. And any health foods traded outside those channels will then still require SAMR registration. The EU SME Centre, we have published last year a market report on selling through cross-border e-commerce to China, as well as the newly enforced e-commerce law. You are welcome to take a further look on that. Um, the cross-border e-commerce sales being one of the future trends. While after all, the Chinese economy, although growing at a slower rate than in previous years, continues to expand at a very fast pace than the majority of the major economies. As such, the demand for many products, including health foods, is also rising and is likely to keep doing so as long as the economy keeps growing. And the growth of China's middle class that I have already mentioned. In China, there's also an aging population due to the policies that limit the size of some Chinese families, and that have led to also an artificially low number of people born since the 1980s, late 1980s. China's population is aging rapidly, so older people now also tend to suffer from more health diseases, health problems, in particular, some chronic problems that require longer treatment and are therefore more likely than the average consumers to purchase health food products. Lastly, there is also a changing attitude among Chinese consumers to health food. A long list of recent food safety scandals in China has made some of the actually many of the consumers more conscious of the importance of health and the influence that food has on it. And this has also led to increased focus on maintaining health diets, of which health food products are considered as a key part. And given continued consumer attention, consumer concerns about food safety in China, this is also considered as a future trend that seems likely to continue. So, aside from the expected growth in the Chinese markets for health foods, its great potentials, other changes will also be observed in the very short future. So, it is expected that the health food markets will become more and more difficult to enter for both Chinese local players as well as international health food producers. The new food safety law sets higher standards in terms of health food classifications, and is no longer that the case of food which can be classed as a health food in another country will automatically be recognized here with the regulations in China. Um, as our last piece of advice, there is no one single Chinese consumer, and there's also no one size fits all solution. So, do you research on the markets, your products, and the regions you're planning to entering, as China is a large market, and of course, eventually find your own targeted consumers and the best fit business strategy. Get prepared. And thank you very much. This is the end of my very short introductive webinar. You are welcome to be further in touch with the EU SME Center should you have any questions on the webinar or any further queries. And if you are SME from Europe, you are more than welcome to reach out to us and take advantage of the information and services we provide. Thank you very much.